Okay, welcome back. In the last video, we made this bot. This is the Steve bot. 2 wheels, caster wheel in the bottom, and this pretty nice lift that's moved by our auxiliary motor. Pretty nice. And today, the goal is to program this so it moves around on the arena surface. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start the Steve bot at the bottom right-hand corner of the mat. We're going to move forward. We're going to take a 90-degree left turn. We're going to move forward again. Take a 90-degree left turn. We're going to move forward again, take a 90-degree left turn, and we're going to end up right where we started. To do that, we need to know 2 things. We need to know how to make the bot go in a straight line, a certain distance. We also need to know how to program a 90-degree turn. In this case, the 90-degree turn is going to be to the left. Let me remind you that the Steve bot is running on 2 wheels. The 2 wheels are connected to the 2 motors, and we wired those last video. This left-hand motor is wired into port B, and the right-hand motor is wired into port A. This medium-sized motor is wired into port C, and that's the one that controls our lift, just like that. We may use some of that once we figure out how to get this thing moving. So let's go into the software, see if we can make it work. Good luck.
Okay, so here we are inside the software. And you can see that the brick name here is showing Steve, so I know I have it plugged in via USB properly, and I'm ready to start programming. And we're going to try to learn how to do a straight move and a 90-degree left move so that we can get it to drive a path around that rectangle on the arena surface. So to get started, I'm going to click on the green tab, which is going to show all of our actions. The first action I'm going to choose is Move Tank. And this is the one with showing the 2 motors on it, and it's going to show a couple of things in this block. First of all, the top corner, this is going to show that I'm controlling ports A and ports B. If you have your motors plugged into different ports, you can go ahead and choose different options here, but I've got mine plugged into A and B, so I'm just going to leave that where it is. If we click on these tabs across the bottom, it's going to pull down different sliders and choices that we have to make. Going from left to right, first thing we're going to do is choose motor on for degrees. I like to program in degrees. That's the degree of rotation from the motor. So I'm going to leave that there. This is the power for motor A and the power for motor B. Both of these are set to 50% power, and I think that's okay for now. And then these are the number of degrees that we're going to run the motor before it stops this block. And this last pull down button tells what's supposed to happen after it runs those degrees. Do we want the motor to brake, or do we want the motor to coast? And I'm going to choose in this case to brake the motor. So this is the program right here needed to run the bot forward 360 degrees. And we have no idea how far on the mat that's going to get us. We're just going to use a guess and check strategy. We'll start with 360 and see how far that gets us. So what I'm going to do next is download the program, and I heard the connection on the intelligent brick, so I know it's been downloaded, and I'm just going to remember that this program is called test. We're going to go back to the table and run it and see how far 360 degrees is. So let's go back to the table.
So here we are at the arena table, and I'm going to use my brick controls to navigate over to our test program. You can see it right there. And once I have that selected, then as soon as I hit the center button, it's going to run that program. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up. And each time I run this, I'm going to just make sure that the left wheel is inside of this circle lined up, because I want to make sure I run the program exactly the same every single time. Remember, we just programmed the bot to move forward with both wheels, motors A and B, to move forward 360 degrees and then brake. So let's see what happens. So now we know that moving from here to here is 360 degrees. So I'm going to go back to the software, change that value, because I want to go farther than that. And I'm just going to keep in mind that this distance is a little bit less than half of what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to do a little bit of math and program accordingly.
So I know that 360 degrees was not enough, and I also know that it was actually less than half of what I needed. So if I wanted to double that, I would go to 720, but I actually want to do more than that, more than double it. So I'm just going to try 820, and we'll see where we end up with that. So with Steve plugged in, I'm going to download the program again, and I'm going to go try it.
Okay, so we're ready for attempt number 2. I've got the program queued up. I'm making sure that the bot is lined up exactly where it was last time. And now we're not going to try 360 degrees forward. We're going to try 820, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that gets us a little bit further down the mat, but still not far enough. So we're going to go back and adjust accordingly.
Okay, so 820 degrees didn't quite make it. I could keep bumping this up just 100 at a time, but instead what I'm going to do is just go ahead and jump to 1100 and see what that does. This is probably going to be more, but now I know somewhere between 820 and 1100 is going to be my sweet spot. So I'm just going to use this number to kind of overestimate and then kind of figure out the difference in between. So here is forward move 1100 degrees. Let's send that. Let's go try it.
Okay, so now we're ready to run forward in degrees 1100, and let's see where we end up. Again, making sure that I've got everything lined up here with our start location, and we're going to run the program. And wow, okay, 1100 is exactly where I wanted it. So now I know the distance from here to here. I'm also going to remember that once I get to this straight over here, I can use that same value, 1100. So what I need to do now is figure out how to program a 90-degree left-hand turn. So let's go try that.
So we know that 1100 degrees is the correct value forward that we want to go. Now we're ready to program in a turn. And what we'll do is we'll use this move steering block here, and it just snaps on to the previous block. And again, let's move from left to right on this block. This is a little bit different. We do want to choose motor on for degrees. We're still going to work in degrees. And then we still have our power, just like we did in the other block, and we're going to leave this at 50% power. And we still have our 360 degree duration value, but this is new. This is going to tell us, do we want to turn right or do we want to turn left? I know on the mat I want to turn left, so I'm just going to move this all the way to the left, and that should give us a left turn. And then afterwards it's going to brake. So let's send this program and go try it out.
Okay, so let's run it and see how we do. Whoa, okay, so in the software we programmed a left-hand turn, but in reality once we got to run the program, it was a right-hand turn. Now we can fix this one of two ways, and you have a choice. You can go back to the software and swap it left or right, or just as a little test run, let's just swap the cables and see what happens. And let's run it again. Okay, so it fixed the direction of the turn, but it's turning way too much. We needed 90 degrees, and that's 90 degrees plus a little bit. So let's go back to the software, use a little guess and check, and see if we can make that a 90-degree turn.
Okay, so here's the deal. You know, we had that little mix-up with the right and left turn. I indeed programmed this for a left turn, but the bot moved to the right before I swapped the cables, and that's fine. It could be that the motors were actually upside down. It could be a number of things, but for this practice session, I just want my left to be left. So swapping those cables, A and B, no problem at all. So indeed, from now on, when I say left turn, it's going to turn left. Now, what we did figure out though is 360 was way too much. It was more than 90 degrees, so we need to cut that in half and then add a little bit. So if we cut it in half, that would be like 180, and then that would be less than 90 degrees. So let's add a little bit instead of 180, and let's try 220 and see where we end up. So we're going to do a left-hand turn for 220 degrees. Send that program.
Okay, so let's see what that does. Going to run the program. Oh, that's actually pretty close. Maybe just a tiny bit more, but then what we're going to do is just repeat that move over and over a couple of times. So I'm going to work in fast forward next time and add a whole bunch to this, and we'll see how far we get. So let's go try it.
Okay, so we needed to add just a little bit more, so I'm going to add 30 on there, so that'll end up being 250 degree turn. And so let's just assume, I'm not going to test it right now, but let's just assume this is correct. So this is going to get us forward one length, and this is going to get us to turn 90 degrees left. So all I need to do is do that a couple of times. So I'm going to move this one on for degrees, 50, 50, 1100, and then this is going to be on for degrees, left hand turn 50%, and that's going to be again 250 degrees. I'm going to do this again. We've got another 2 blocks. This one here is going to be our on for degrees at 1100. This one is going to be on for degrees. This will be our left hand turn, and again 250 degrees. And let's go ahead and do the last 2 blocks. This is our move forward again, and this is our move steering. On for degrees 1100, on for degrees 250. Now this is just a big test. Who knows what's going to happen. I've got a pretty good idea that we're going to move forward and turn, then move forward and turn, then move forward and turn, move forward and turn. This should give us pretty close to a perfect square. So I'm going to send it and see how close I get.
Okay, so let's see how this runs. Okay, so did you notice how each turn was a little bit more than 90 degrees? Just a little bit. And by the time we did that wrong turn 4 times, it had compounded the problem. So I know already that we need to fix that right hand turn. 250 was too much. Let's run it again though and check for some distances. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the software and make just a few adjustments.
Okay, so I know the first thing I want to do is change our right angles. 220 last time was not enough, 250 is too much. So I'm just going to change this, move it down to 240 each time. So I'm going to do all those right angle turns together. And then I'm going to start adjusting the distances. And this first move was 1100. We know that's right. But the second time it moves forward, it has a longer distance to go. So instead of 1100, 1600, and then turn. And then this move here, that 1100 is coming back. So I think that's going to be okay. So then what we need is to match up this with 1600. And let's go try that. I'm going to send the program.
Okay, so let's run that and see what happens. Okay, wow, that's a pretty good guess. I could go in and change the numbers up a little bit, but that gets me really pretty close. Let's run that again. We're going to run forward 1100, then our 90 degree turn, which was 240. Then we're going to move forward 1600, and then so on and so forth till we get around. Let's see how we do. This might be the last run. Okay, so that gets us in the ballpark. We're not exactly where we left off. We missed it by that much, but I'm going to leave it with you to make those necessary corrections and see how well you do. So good luck and happy programming.